Hey, what's up, everybody? Pat here. Great for recovering alcoholic and addict, just like every day, guys. Please don't forget to subscribe, leave the video a like, drop me a comment, and by all means share it with somebody who might get something out of it. Other than that, we'll get into the lesson today, guys. Today we're going to talk about speaking our truth. Speaking our truth. A symptom of our disease is alienation, and honest sharing will free us to recover. Truth connects us to life where fear, isolation, and dishonesty alienate us from it. As using addicts, we hid as much of ourselves from as much of the world as we possibly could. Our fear kept us from opening ourselves up to those around us, providing protection against what others might do to us if we appeared vulnerable. But our fear also kept us from connecting with our world. We lived like alien beings on our own planet, always alone and getting lonelier by the minute. Certainly did for me. The Fellowship of Recovering Addicts give people like us a place where we can feel safe telling the truth about ourselves. We are able to honestly admit our frustrating, humbling powerlessness over addiction because we meet many others who've been in the same situation. We're safe among them, and we keep on telling more truth about ourselves as we grow in recovery. The more we do, the more connected we feel to the world around us. Today, we need not hide from the reality of our relations with with the people, places, and things in our lives. We accept those relationships just as they are and own our part in them. We take time to ask, am I telling the truth about myself? Each time we do this, we draw that much further away from the alienation that characterizes our addiction and that much closer to the freedom recovery brings us. The affirmation is, just for today, truth is my connection to reality. Today, I will take the time to ask myself, am I telling my whole truth? And guys, that's something that's been pretty eye-opening to me. I'm very grateful for the fact that I'm able to be honest and upfront, and I'm very open about my recovery. I regularly wear recovery slogan T-shirts, and I openly share with anybody that asks. Because a lot of people that were like acquaintances or people I'd see in stores have noticed the obvious difference. I mean, in the last 7 months, I've put on 60 pounds. I go to the gym regularly. I look healthier. My eyes aren't all sunken in. I literally look like I'm 10 years younger now, and I often get asked, "What is it you're doing?" And it's funny. Some people even occasionally think I'm like taking steroids or something, and I'm very quick to let them know. Say, no, I'm probably 20 pounds heavier than my normal healthy weight now because I do work out very regularly and very hard. But I started out 40 pounds or 30 pounds below average because I was, not eating, not sleeping, and just not taking care of myself in any way, shape, or form. But beyond that, it's funny, all the war stories that I used to tell on a regular basis, and they were all from the victim point of view. And it's funny, and I talk about this fairly regularly. It's shocking today, or I gotta stop saying that so much, but it really is. It shocks me constantly today when I start to honestly talk about stories or just telling my story or talk about different things that have happened throughout my life. It's crazy how different they come out today because I've taken the time to do so much honest introspection because that's what's allowed me to heal, guys. It's nothing short of miraculous what has occurred in my life in these last 7 months, and it's why I'm so happy and I'm so grateful, and why I'm putting so many good experiences together because I've taken the time to do the work. And I'm not perfect. I'm still getting better and better all the time because I've got a long, long way to go. I've got a long road ahead of me, but it's a beautiful road ahead of me, right? And I thought so many times, like, oh, I've gotten to this point, I haven't plateaued because I haven't allowed myself to. Every time I get to a new comfort level, I continue to take stock and take a personal inventory of where I am today, and then find ways to grow and work on myself and find more ways to feed my soul, feed my mind, feed my body. And that's the thing, guys. It's a spiritual program, and it's a program of balance. If you look to increase your knowledge, your strength, your health, your emotional stability, and your spiritual growth, if you look to increase all these things on a regular basis, then things are going to get so much better. I mean, it's truly a matter of what you put in, you get out. I mean, it's as simple as that, and that's just law of attraction and just common sense and in the way the world works. But one thing I've really noticed is the stories that I used to tell, I don't tell anymore. I tell the same basic experience, but the entire story around it has changed because I'm telling it honestly today. And I take no pride in the fact that I have to look at it and say, wow, I was just telling a complete fabrication, but it was from, the experience was correct, but it was my story surrounding it that has changed because now I'm able to look at it honestly. In doing so, it's allowed me to take accountability for my part in it. And unfortunately, guys, yes, I was given a lot of shitty circumstances early on that I couldn't control. But what I did with that was I ran sideways with it and never confronted it head on, never learned the things I needed to learn, never forgave myself for the mistakes that I made, so therefore I continued to compound them regularly. And unfortunately, I did this for decades, like 40 years, guys. Today, it's refreshing when I start to look back at these things because now, telling them from an honest point of view, and it's funny, I often interrupt my own stories to show the lessons that I've learned this time around and speak on it. Well, and this is, this didn't have to continue, and I'm literally taking accountability as I go, and it's beautiful because it's given me the power to control my life. And again, I give all accolades to my higher power, whom I choose to call God. I give a lot of credit to the fact that people around me, I'm surrounding myself with good people today, other people that are working to recover themselves and do good things in their lives, and I've cut out all the negativity. It's funny, I still get phone calls every so often, and I block the numbers regularly, but a lot of drug dealers and former runners have my number stored in their phone because I was somebody that spent a lot of money. So as they're up and coming, I'll still get people reaching out and like, hey, you remember me? And I'm like, no, I don't, and I want nothing to do with you. And I'm polite about it the first time. And early on, I wouldn't block everybody. And I'm like, why? And I immediately block them and delete their numbers from my phone because I don't want any of that shit in my life today. I don't need any of that. My life is expanding in the most beautiful ways possible. And I've got to maintain balance today and learn new ways of doing things smarter so that I don't overwhelm myself and overtax myself and be out there working 100 hours a week. Guys, I'm no longer chasing things, and because of that, I'm making more money than I ever dreamed possible. And not to say that other, dream possible as far as, other people in the world, but for myself, and again, something I remind you guys constantly, the only equitable equation that's ever going to do you any good is comparing where you were to where you are. Never compare yourself with another person, because none of us have the same set of circumstances, the same set of variables to work under. Only worry about yourself. I mean, help other people, obviously, but as far as comparison goes, look at where you were to where you are to where you want to go. Something I heard in a video I watch regularly, somebody I watch videos from regularly, is, look at your GPS system. When you punch in your destination in the GPS system, it wants to know where you are and where you're going. It doesn't give a shit about where you've been, because that doesn't matter as to where you're going, other than the fact that, once you heal and let go of those things. And that's what you want to focus on, guys. So often, myself included, we get mired down in the mistakes of our past, the bad feelings from the things we did in the past, and we allow them to control where we are today and where we're going for tomorrow. None of that has to be. We all have the power to let things go, to heal from things, and then to move forward from things. And that's why I get on and do these videos, guys, because that's something I learned early on. Guys, I've suffered enormous, crazy, self-inflicted pain and misery, and I taxed myself in ways that very few people survive, and I'm incredibly fortunate that I came through it. But because I did it in the right way, by finding and creating a conscious contact relationship with my higher power, whom I choose to call God, asking for help, guys. I will say that again because it's so important. And it's funny because that's a lesson I had to learn. I was somebody that would never ask for help. I gave no credence to therapy for me. Said for everybody else, sure, good for you, but I don't need it. I'm stronger than that. No, I was too blind to the fact that I needed help that I couldn't get anywhere. Guys, I was one of the hardest people working, the hardest working people on the planet that couldn't afford a sandwich. I could never put anything together. I could never get out from underneath the shit and mistakes that I made in the past. And that's what I've done this time around, is I've managed to put all those things behind me by saying, and more often than not, it was just a matter of talking about them, owning my accountability in them, seeing where my direct actions, my thoughts, my words got me into those positions, and then not repeating them. It's not the craziest equation, but it requires work. It requires discipline, and it requires the desire and willingness to do the work required. And once you do, and the thing is, guys, it's like anything else. Every part of us is a muscle. Our mind, our bodies, everything. And when you exercise that muscle, it gets stronger. So when you exercise introspection becomes easier. Once you start accepting the mistakes that you made, they no longer carry weight over them, particularly if you start changing those behaviors and stop making those mistakes. Suddenly, you start to gain momentum in the right direction, because momentum's everything, guys. That's something I've come to learn, and I believe in. I mean, I don't know how you could not. It's literally physically proven. Momentum, things in motion tend to stay in motion. Momentum, guys. I managed to stop the momentum, and I was working on it for months and months before I got clean. Nothing happens overnight. Just like the video I posted the other night, we recover over time, not overnight, but it doesn't have to be an exorbitant amount of time. If you're willing to do things right, and this time around, I don't know how I got bit with the bug differently this time around. Well, I do know, because I surrendered to my higher power. Everything else I always tried to do under my own control. And I've had to come to realize that after 40 years of making nothing but mistakes, my mind wasn't working properly. And it sucks to say that, because I'm very intelligent in a lot of ways, and I'm very good at a lot of things, and a lot of skills come very natural to me. But I was out there making horrible decisions and giving myself a very limited set of parameters that I was able to work within, because I was owned by a substance. I couldn't go more than 6 hours without meeting up with a drug dealer, and that's ridiculous, guys. You cannot possibly get ahead living like that. All you can do is spin your wheels and go backwards, get stuck in quicksand. Today, that's not the case, and because I've let myself go, and it's not only just shedding the drugs, it's working on the behaviors that got me into addiction and kept me stuck in addiction. That is where progress comes from, and that is why I'm enjoying so much success in my life today, because I've worked on those behaviors. I've taken accountability. Guys, it comes with a lot of having to be very, very observant of your thoughts, of your actions, of the way you think, and then being willing to arrest those things and apologize and change them mid-sentence. I can't tell you how many times I started to have a conversation and caught myself halfway through it and said, "Oh my God, no, hold on, this got to stop." But you have to have the willing, and it's embarrassing. In the beginning, it's tough, but you've got to be willing to do that, because otherwise that momentum is already carrying you down the stream. And again, if you do it, then pray and meditate at night, stop that momentum, and try to start fresh the next day. But if you have the intestinal fortitude, the guts, the balls, to literally just stop it midstream and say, "Hey, nope, I'm going to own this behavior. That was wrong. I can't do this. This is what I need," and walk away from everything that doesn't serve you. Guys, it's going to be lonely for a minute. I'm still lonely. I'm surrounded by a lot of good, but as far as my close inner circle, very, very small. Very, very small. It's why I keep myself busy online, and I work, and like today I'm going to force myself. There is a feast. I think it's the Fisherman's Feast in the North End in Boston tonight. So I'm doing my video a little bit early today, because I'm going to force myself to get out of the house and just go be amongst people. It's a beautiful 90-degree day, and day in, day out, I go and I work and I go to the gym, and I love my life. I love everything I'm doing. But I'm not really finding ways to go out and enjoy myself as much as I need to, because, guys, part of life is finding new ways in sobriety to enjoy life. And one thing I always enjoyed was going to the feast in the North End all August long. So I'm going to start doing so. Even if I'm going by myself, I've got to start stepping out as I've taken the time to heal and save money and get things in order. But you know what? Finding a social life has not been a priority up until now, because I've taken 7 months without one to build every other aspect of my life. And now I'm truly happy and trusting in myself that I can go out and be around people and make good decisions and be upbeat and be positive and know when a situation is wrong for me, and know and walk away from that. And that's a very important thing. That's why I've taken the time to do so, because I knew if I tried to step out and fill my life and fill my time with hobbies before I learned what truly mattered to me and who I truly am, then I was going to end up in bad situations, because I make poor decisions, and I always did. So I haven't been in any rush to fill those things. I've worked on what's most important first. My mental health, my stability, my job situation, which meant walking away from a toxic job, walking away with all sorts of toxic people in my life, finding the balls to open my own business, learning all the things it takes. Guys, I've had 3 or 4 businesses, and every one of them failed miserably because all I did was go get a business license, go out and make cash and spend it on drugs. Today I don't. I work with tax accountants and insurance companies and do all the things that I've never done before. And as I've done so, it's brought up lots of other things that I had to take care of in my past, and I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars rectifying things. I was talking about going down to Rhode Island a couple weeks ago and spending a few $1,000s there to rectify something that was holding me back from 1997. But I've got that off my plate, and I've got one more big thing I've got to take care of, and I'll talk about it when I do. But it's bringing me into the forefront where literally it's the last vestibule of my old life that I'm going to put to death. And my new life will be 100%. My name will be 100% clear. I will be this close to being able to go and starting to get my record expunged or at least sealed so that things don't hold me back. And I don't allow them to hold me back anyway, because anytime I have any interaction where my past is brought up, I have all the work that I've done. I've got my YouTube channel. Like literally, if I'm talking to a police officer, he runs my record and starts bringing up the records of my past, I immediately break out my phone and say, well, look, this is what I've been doing. And I can show 216 or 17 consecutive daily videos of posting recovery videos. Look, that carries a lot of credence, guys. This is the thing. When you do the work and you do so in the public eye, in a way that you can show the proof of your work, and that's something I never did before. I do everything hidden behind the scenes, and I'd have nothing to show for it. And I never had a leg to stand on, because documenting everything requires extra effort, and I was never willing to take that extra effort. Today I do. Today I take the long way on everything I do. I don't cut any corners. I go the long step around. I mean, I do things, try to make them as efficiently as possible, but I don't cut corners, because that is where every time you cut a corner, further down the road, there's going to be a situation that's going to require that step that you skipped, and it's going to hold you back from doing something else. And when we're cutting a billion corners like I used to do, we can never get anywhere, because every time you attempt to do something, all these extra steps that you're not capable of doing because you cut all those corners and skipped all those steps in the past don't allow you to move forward. And today that's not the case, and that is why I share so many different lessons every day. If you take all these things to heart and just do everything that you know is 100% right, particularly when it's uncomfortable and particularly when it's going to hold you back and require, guys, that's where growth comes in. That's where expansion comes from. It's having the faith that you'll be rewarded long term and not look for that instant gratification, and invest and do things when nobody's watching and only you are there and nobody's going to give you accolades for it. When you don't seek accolades, you'll find accolades down the road, because you're doing the right things for the right reasons, and not because somebody's looking, and not because you're requiring immediate reward. That's where the bigger blessings and the bigger rewards start coming into. Guys, that's the video for today. Thank you so much for being here. Always remember, God loves you. I love you. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one.